Plaintiff Terry Johnson says the defendant is her daughter, and over the last year, she got hooked up with the wrong crowd, started stripping, and is now involved in an abusive relationship. Terry claims she even witnessed the defendant's boyfriend beating her in front of her young child, and she's suing her today for the value of a car. Defendant Jennifer Johnson admits that she was an exotic dancer, but insists she only did it because her mother kicked her out of the house and she needed the money. Jennifer denies owing for the car because she claims the vehicle was a gift.
Prove your case.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm heartbroken to be here because Jen and I have always been close. And it seems like over the last year or so, she got involved with the wrong crowd and she started doing some exotic dancing. I don't know if she got into drugs. She told me some of the girls sometimes did drugs to loosen up and stuff. And then she has been in an abusive relationship, and having been in an abusive relationship myself, I know I now see what it does to the children as well as
How long has she been out of school?
She's 21, so she got her GED. She got out of school when she was 9th grade.
Did she go to any type of trade school or college?
Not yet. I'm hoping she'll go to college.
Did you encourage her to?
Yes, I do.
And what happened?
She got pregnant and had a baby, my grandson, and that's kind of delayed everything.
Okay.
And that's part of, one day she had called me up and asked me to bring her some groceries because she didn't have any. And I was walking down the street and I heard my grandson crying, and I ran, and she was on the 3rd floor. I ran up and my heart was beating, and she was on the floor and he was on top of her. They were having a fight, and I took my grandson and brought him to safety. And that, I called a CPS because I was worried for her.
Mm-hmm, sure.
She wasn't listening to me, and I want what's best for her and my grandson. Mm-hmm. And that's all I've ever wanted, what's best for her. Mm-hmm. And then in January, another incident occurred where she was doing some exotic dancing, and she texted me in the middle of the night, and it woke me up. And she said she had a black eye and she couldn't see out of it. She said a girl beat her up, but I talked to one of her friends, and she said that not to tell Jen that she told me, and I won't say who it is, but she said Uriah beat her up.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'll allow you all to give me some background on your relationship. Yes.
Okay, well, first off, I did text my mom saying that I had a black eye or whatever, and it instantly swelled up. But that night I got into an altercation with a girl, and she gave me a black eye, and I got kicked out by the bouncer.
Why didn't you go to school?
Huh?
Why didn't you go to school as opposed to
like any other
being an
kid,
exotic dancer?
I only did that like 6 times, and it was because I needed extra money because because I needed to provide for my kid.
Your mother would not let you stay at the home?
She kicked me out in the middle of January with nowhere to go. We have our problems where, like every other mother and daughter, but it's not the same. It's just like, I don't know.
So tell me what happened with that incident. Because I believe had you stayed at home and went to school, you wouldn't have to resort to these other
She's talking
type of
about
jobs.
Years ago. And I've wanted to go back to college, but I've had a lot of things that have happened in the last 3 years. I had 2 tubal pregnancies. Okay. So, I've had a lot. Plus, I was fighting for parental rights with my son's father. So, I've had a lot going on.
Going to school.
When you don't have a clear head, why try? When, I don't know. But
not having a clear head comes from getting high. So you might be right.
No, I don't do drugs. Okay. Back to the Child Protective Services thing. No, I do not do drugs. And I brought a paper that says when my mom called Child Protective Services on me, they came and investigated. There was no findings that I was neglecting him and that I was a great mother. Yeah. And then I even offered for them to do a drug test. They said that wasn't necessary.
Okay. What are you doing with your life now?
Right now, I'm just with my son. I have him Monday through Friday.
Okay. So why aren't you in school or something now?
Well, now I'm at the point in my life where everything's finally fine, where I can go back to school. I finally have an apartment, and my life's, gotten a lot better.
How do you support yourself and your son?
Right now, I'm getting TANF, and then he has a job. But, I'm looking for a job.
Okay, you all stay together.
Right.
All right. Okay, well, focus on trying to get a skill that will allow you to keep a decent job, a skill trade or community college associate's degree or bachelor's degree, however far you think you can go and whatever applies to your skill level. All right, so we don't want you to have to resort to exotic dancing, which might expose you to an environment that's not healthy for you and your child. The fights and all the other things that go on. So Ma'am, tell me about the car. How does she owe you for a car?
Okay, well, I've seen the positive influence you have on the youth of today. And as I say, I love my daughter dearly and want the best for her. What happened, unfortunately, I was going through a tough time, separation, divorce at the same time she was going through a tough time. And I was sick with chronic fatigue and lost my job of 18 years. So I lost my license. And so we
What do
have...
you mean you lost it? You couldn't find it?
OUI, no.
Oh, for drunk driving.
Yeah, well, it was I had an adverse
Don't
effect
start
to Ambien.
stuttering on me now.
Huh?
So don't start stuttering on me now. Why were you drunk driving? What is this
Well,
about?
I got up, sleep drove under the influence of Ambien.
Gotcha.
So anyways, we went and registered. They said I had to put the title in her name to register, because I lost my license and the right to register my vehicle.
Defendant Jennifer Johnson is being sued by her mother, who claims Jennifer's boyfriend is so abusive that he even beat her in front of her young son.
Who said you had to put the title of your car into her name?
The people of said the clerk, city clerk of Lewiston. And so without being registered, you
Was
can't
it already
drive it.
registered?
Right.
And they said, we're going to take away your vehicle registration.
Right. I had to send the plates
You have
in.
that order? I've never seen that. I've heard that you cannot re-register until your license is valid, but they don't take away your ownership rights.
I know, it's really strange. Maine. I really didn't understand it myself.
All right. When you want a new registration, they might in some states.
We even questioned it because he had bought a car and the title was in his name and she got to register her in her because he didn't have a license either. But when we went to the city building, we said, can we leave the title in my name? And she said, no, I had to put it in her name. And it didn't make sense.
To get a registration?
Right.
No, can I say something?
Yes.
Okay, what happened was back in November, him and I broke up and I was driving his Jeep at the time. We swapped over registration to her vehicle and we went down there and they said that they had to put the title in my name because she didn't have the right to register. But she said...
What was the intent of doing that?
She said that she was going to let me have the car if I drove her around and did things that, that she needed to do.
She's going to give you the car.
And that she was going to be moving to Vegas, so it would be my car anyways. Then in January, she kicked me out of nowhere with my 2.5-year-old son with nowhere to go. All of a sudden, the locks were just changed one day. My stuff was out on the porch. And so I had to go and stay with my friend. I had no money, no food stamps, or, just nothing to feed my kid.
Well, ma'am, let me just stop you before you just keep with this pity party. When you don't obey your parents' rules of their house, you get out, particularly when you're an adult.
Okay, so you just kick your son and...
Whoever it is.
I mean, your
either
daughter.
they stop the problem or they leave. Yeah.
Right, but I never did anything wrong, though. That's the
One or
thing.
the other. Go ahead. So you were saying that she gave the car to you as a gift and told you that when she moved that you could have it, and she moved and you kept it. That's what your defense is?
She said that I could have the car.
All right,
and that she was
ma'am.
going to be moving. She never moved. And then she kicked me out. What am I supposed to do?
Man, there you go with that kick out again.
I know.
I've told you.
Okay,
You're supposed to obey her rules under her roof.
Right,
You're
but I've
supposed
never...
to not argue with her under her roof. Go ahead.
So anyways, this whole thing started. She knew the reason we were putting the car in her name was so she could drive me around. And then after I got my things done, if she needed to use the car, she could. Then all of a sudden, once we did this, because, you had to say it was a gift.
You had to say it was a gift.
Well, I didn't sell it. I get, to get it in her register so she could have.
So
Don't
she
start stuttering on me again.
It's confusing to have her title. I gifted it to her so she could register it.
And you didn't really mean it was a gift.
No, she knew exactly what it meant, so we'd have transportation.
You didn't
right.
mean
and everyone,
for it to be a gift.
Right, correct.
All right.
Here's another evidence, just as she said, I can have my car back next week. She knew it was my car.
You can have your car back after this weekend. Ma'am? How do you explain that?
I wrote her that text message because she kept texting me and saying random things. The point is that she did give me the car, and
the point is, you told her you'd give it back.
She kicked me and my son out, and
here we go again.
Okay, but listen, what I'm trying to say though is
Your
the
witness
reason.
Want to speak? State your name.
Uriah Tremblay. Okay. Was in December, right? In December, she kicked her out or whatever.
No, January.
Oh, January. She kicked her out, and then I took my Jeep back because we weren't together or whatever. So I took that back, and she gifted her with the vehicle. And later on, we got back together, so I let her take my Jeep. So we ended up selling the vehicle because she needed money. We needed to get into an apartment, and I didn't have a job at the time.
I had no way to support my son.
Yeah, basically, and she wouldn't give her any food for our son, which she had the food
joint food stamps also, and she wouldn't let me have any of them. Like, she had food stamps for me.
I'm
She
going
wouldn't let
to give
me
you
have
this
any of
advice
them.
one more time. If you're dependent on someone for your personal needs, as an adult, not as a child, as an adult, you don't fall out or rebel against that person because you are essentially a child when you depend on someone else. An adult doesn't depend on anyone else. And when you have to depend on someone else to live in their house, then you have to behave like a child. Follow my rules. Don't fall out with me. Don't talk back to me. Those are the rules with your child.
She depended on me.
Those are the rules. And if you don't adhere to those rules, then you have to be disciplined. And the best way to discipline an adult who is living with you is to put them out. And so that's what
no
she
notice
did.
or anything?
Now,
Defendant Jennifer Johnson is being sued by her mother, who claims Jennifer's boyfriend is so abusive that he even beat her in front of her young son.
with regard to the car, I have evidence that you said you would give it back, which indicates to me that you never believed it was a gift. Also, ma'am, you put, however, that it was a gift, even though you're telling me you committed fraud on the state. That's essentially what you're telling me. You didn't mean it to be a gift, but you wrote it on the legal document. Under either scenario, we don't have a contract, because with a contract, both parties have to admit to the same intention, the same meaning. A meeting of the minds, that's what it's called in the law. And if you're telling me you didn't mean it to be a gift, she thought it was a gift, you all didn't have a meeting of the minds. If you thought you should give it back, as you said here, and you put down that it was a gift, you all, once again, on these papers, didn't have a meeting of the minds. So when there's no meeting of the minds, there's no contract. Since there was no contract, the car remains yours. Judgment for the plaintiff, $3,855. Have a good day.
Thank you. Jen, I love you very much, and I'm sorry this whole incident took place. And I want to see, I help you all I can, and I want to see you get on the right track, because it's a lot easier. You're a great person.
Well, I think that I'm on the right track, and I am a great mother, and I don't care what happened today. I know what was right, so.
I just hope that you two maintain a good relationship. Whether we fight or not, I think you two should maintain a good
Verbal
relationship.
fights don't count as physical fights.